Welcome to Lineage. Oh, okay, we're gonna try this again. Welcome to. Fuck, I can't talk. What the. Okay, let's try it again. Welcome to episode 3 of Lineage Chronicles. This spooky story time / spiritual tea is the first time I met Marie Laveau. Hello, spiritual baddies, gods, and goddesses. Welcome to the 3rd episode of Lineage Chronicles. I haven't done this in a very long time, but I'm doing it now, so let's dive straight into it. So, how all of this started, okay? I did want to take my oldest daughter's advice and mix them all up. So, I probably will mix up the other ones, but let's just focus on how it started. It's good. Okay, so basically I was 5 years old and we were staying in this house. This house was located in Texas. My spiritual mom, you're going to always hear me say spiritual mom or my mother. This is the woman who raised me. She is not my biological mom, but she is my spiritual mom. She's the one who took care of me. She is the one who taught me a whole bunch of things before I was actually initiated into voodoo. She also taught me necromancy and just all of these things, but trust me, you keep coming back, you're gonna learn so much about her abilities and everything that she taught me, as well as what a lot of my other elders taught me. So I'm living with her and her husband and their family. I was never adopted, but I live with them. So whatever it was, they had an agreement with my mom, my grandma, and my dad, and this is where I was living. I will go, and I do go more in detail in this, but this is in my book, Spiritual Sauce. Either you have it or you don't. Okay, back to the story. So we in this house, and I always had this eerie feeling about this house, but the backstory about this house is it was my mom's house. She loved this house. That person who built this house actually had built all the houses in the neighborhood, and this particular house he built for his wife. So fast forward, as I'm older, in my opinion, I felt like even though my mom paid them 3 times what the house was worth, yes, she was balling. I feel like even though she paid them that, I feel like the wife cursed my mom's house, because the level of spiritual activity that happened in this house was so crazy that I literally ran away. I don't know how many times, because I at that point I was like, I really rather live under a bridge than live here, because it was just too bad. And at times they would leave me here by myself, and it was just too much for me. It was very eerie. The house was a 2-story house, and when you would walk, where my room was, if you would walk from my room to the bathroom, it's no lie, every time, the music that you hear in scary movies, that's what the fuck I heard. This is why, as a kid, when parents are like, why are you peeing yourself? Why you didn't go to the bathroom? Hello, have you met this house? It's scary out there. So I would literally at one time I even tried to open the window to crawl out the window and use it outside, but I stopped trying to do that once I started seeing things in the yard. So down the hall from my room was the bathroom, the washroom, and then the kitchen. Okay, the kitchen looped into the living room, which looped around to all the bedrooms. Okay, so next door to me one of my brothers and his family, like, so it's like him, his girl, and like their 3 kids at the time, they stayed in that room. I had another foster brother, stepbrother, whatever you want to say. He stayed there or whatever. These 2 I really didn't get along with. Like, I never got along with them. Just because of how they treated me. Like, they would feed themselves, feed their kids, but like they would never feed me. So they'll be like, oh, you need to eat a mayonnaise sandwich, XYZ. So I really hated it. Her, like, just no lie, I really hated it. So I am going to start giving these people character names too, but I want to give them the same character names in my book, but then maybe not. So let's call the brother who stayed in the room next door, let's call him Ben, and let's call the other one who slept like in a family room area, let's call him, what's a good name? What y'all think? Percy. Percy. No, we don't do that. So, anyways, I have to walk to the kitchen because I have to go and take my cup that I had chocolate milk in the kitchen. And my mom stayed on me about leaving dishes in the room, and I was literally dreading it. I was already scared because for what reason family members have you watch scary movies and then are like, oh, go to bed. It's like, wait, what? How? Literally, how am I supposed to go to sleep? It's not going to happen. So what happens is I walk down the hall. I'm dreading it. Like, I am walking so slow. Like, what it seems like, hours to walk, but it's really just a few minutes because this is a long hallway. So I walk to go take my cup in there, and where the washroom is, there is this garage door. It's this door, like, I don't know if y'all have ever seen this type of door, but the door is like wooden at the top, but at the bottom there's like a rectangle glass in this, so you can see downstairs into the garage. So already feeling it, already knowing something is up. Like I said, every time I'm in this house, it's always some troubling energy. So I go, I'm walking, and I started feeling so much in fear before I even stepped into the washroom, because I remember I have to go through the washroom to get to the kitchen. That's just the way the house was made. So I'm walking in the washroom and I see a silhouette of something. So it catches my eye. Obviously, I see it at my peripheral, and I turn to look at it, and it literally runs up the stairs. And I'm like, what the you know what I'm saying? Like, what is that? And I scream, and its face is on the window of this door, and everyone is like, what is she screaming for? So you can hear people moving around trying to get to me. But remember, this is a 2-story house, and it is a very big house. So this thing has time to breathe on this glass, and you can see the breathe marks on the glass. I'm literally standing there peeing myself because I am so terrified. So my mom, my dad, they're trying to calm me down. I can't calm down. I'm just in a very terrified state. Keep in mind, I am 5 years old. Okay? What you will come to learn about me is that I remember a lot of things, even from being a child, a very, very young child. But we will get into those stories later. So I'm crying. My mom gets me cleaned up. She takes me into her room. She, she bathes me and everything. And she's like, you can sleep in here. And I'm like, I can't go to sleep. All I can see is his face and his eyes. His eyes was red. And my dad is like putting his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, calm down, please calm down. I just want you to remember, when you see these things, say the blood of Jesus. And when he said that to me, I don't know why, but as a child, I felt like when he said that to me, he gave me a weapon to use against these things. So it did make me feel better. So like, trust me, I was on some, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus. Like, I was literally saying it over and over and over and over and over. So the craziest part hasn't even happened yet, but this night I'm in their room, and I finally go to sleep, and I'm woken up because I hear these loud ass footsteps. And because I'm woken up and I hear it, I'm like, how the hell is nobody else hearing this but me? And this thing is behind the door, and it's like twiddling the doorknob. So at this point, I'm holding on to my parents, but like for some reason, they're not waking up. And the thing is like, you think you're safe. And I'm like, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus. This thing screamed the most eerily scream when I began to say this, that its scream scared me. So I'm sitting in the bed, rocking back and forth. I'm literally terrified. When my parents wake up, they're like, you're not going to school today. We're going to go do some things so we can stop this from happening. So I'm like, okay, bet, because I cannot deal with this no more. If we can do something to make this go away, let's do this. So what we do, we go to this other house that she owns. My mom, who raised me, she was in real estate. They had a church. Like, they just had so many different things going for themselves. Like, I even have the paperwork still from when her and her husband won awards in California for being just such good business owners. Didn't even know that was a thing, but I definitely keep that. That's in my keepsakes, because both of them have passed, by the way. So this is like their memories, their legacy, the things that they taught me. That's like all I really have left, right? So we go to this house, and it's like all these people here. They're all, in white. They have their head wrapped, and they're all like doing their own thing. I really don't know what they're doing. Again, I'm 5. So my mom tells me she's like setting up and like saying these hymns and her chants, and she has this big ass cauldron in the middle of the floor, like kind of like what you see in the movies, really. And it's like boiling or whatever, and she's like, I need you to lay next to this cauldron. Now, I can't tell you everything that's on the floor and like the way that it was laid on the floor or whatever, because this is a sacred voodoo ritual. But this ritual was a protection ritual for me, because rewind, when I woke up, I had handprints on my legs. So this thing was trying to take me away. So we'll get to the story further on down the road of why these things wanted me, who they came to about me, etc., etc., etc. So back to the story. So we're doing this ritual. She tells me to lay down on the floor. She tells me to drink this potion that she made, that she gets out of this pot that's boiling, this big cauldron that's boiling. All of a sudden, I am literally, as a little time goes by, a few minutes go by, I would say, I'm seeing myself laying down on the floor, and I'm looking at my body. So when people say I had an out-of-body experience, that's what I was having. So as I'm seeing this, I can hear the people chanting. I hear the drums, do 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 do. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's, you hear them making their African noises and chants, and it's just like really going down. So once I hear this, I look up and I'm starting to look around, and just really notice everything. It's like I'm in this other dimension, but I'm still here. Kind of like how in the TV show Stranger Things, when they're like we're in the upside down. It's like I was still in the same place, but it was different. It was like kind of like foggish, like. So I see, and it was cold. So I see this woman, and she's standing, because there's, at this particular house, there's this door you can open, and it leads you to the porch, but the porch is like cemented in with bricks, and it's covered at the top with burglar bars. So it's more like a little sitting area. And she's standing and she's looking at the people out there. So I walk over to this lady because I feel like I can trust her energy. And when I walk over to this lady, she's like, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "I really don't know, because this thing tried to get me and it tried to hurt me." And I was like, "Look, it grabbed." She was like, "I know, it grabbed your foot. That's why I'm here. I'm your ancestor. My name is Marie." And at the time, I didn't know that this was the Marie, I did not know that. So I'm just thinking, okay, this a lady, her name is Marie, and she's here to help. So she's like, "I'm your ancestor, and I'm one of many of your powerful ancestors. We come from a very strong bloodline, and I'm here to help you, lead you, and guide you." And I'm like, "Are you dead?" And she laughed. She didn't answer my question. She laughed. And she was like, "As you get older, you'll learn about astral travel. You'll learn about life, death, and energy transference and all these things. You are here for so many different reasons. And you saw what you saw because it wants you. It wants your power. It wants your ability." And she was one of the first people to say to me that you don't know how powerful you are. She was like, "You're going to be able to help people. You're going to be able to see things that other people can't see. So when you saw this spirit, everyone else couldn't see it. This is why the other people in the house didn't believe you." And she said, "But after this ritual, they'll never be able to touch you. You can still see them, but they'll never be able to touch you." And I was like, "Okay, so what do I have to do?" She was like, You have to do nothing. Me and all these people here, we're here to protect you. And we're here to make sure that you stay protected. You're a very special child, and this is not the first time you have lived in a life. You've had several lives, but again, these are things that you're going to learn when you get older. And I was like, "Well, am I gonna remember any of this stuff?" She was like, "Of course you will. Just like you remembered seeing your great grandmother." And I was like, "Yeah, I do remember her. I even remember how she smells, how she looks, everything." And she was like, "Yes, that's because you are so powerful. Like, people are gonna want to hurt you for the powers that you have. The dark side does want you, because if you were to use dark magic, you would be very good at it. However, the divine has you here to be a light, to light up the darkness in other people, within yourself, and just so many different things." So we had this long conversation, because now I'm getting to the point where she's saying things that I cannot disclose, right? So this ritual happens, and before I leave her, I turn around and I say, "So am I going to see that thing again?" And she was like, "You're going to see it, but you have protectors, and you're going to be okay." So I'm like, okay, I can go ahead and, I guess I can go back in here where my mom is. I go back in the room where my mom is after I'm hugging her, and my mom looks over like she can literally see me, because again, I'm a child, so I didn't know. I thought she wouldn't be able to see me move around. So she was like, did she tell you everything you needed to know? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, okay, it's time. And I laid back down on the floor where my body was laying, and I woke up and took like the deepest breath, and it was like how everything kind of sounded echoed and stuff in the background. It was like even amplified now because I was back in real time. So by this time, I didn't realize how much time had went by, because when this was happening, it was like the sun had just went down. But after, when I look outside, it's like extremely dark outside. So, and I remember hearing my mom say like, it's 2 something in the morning, and you have to get to bed, you have to rest after this ritual. So we're back at the house. I do have to go in my room because I did have dishes in my room, and like I said, my mom was real keen on don't leave no dishes in that room. So I was taking my dishes out, and boom, I see this fucking thing again, and I stare at it. And like I stare it down, because at this point I feel like you can't fuck with me, So the thing comes up to the glass, and as I'm staring at it, I hear these other spirits, like to what I feel like they're other spirits, in this same garage. So I damn near opened that door and walked down there, and my dad walked right up on me and said, don't open it, leave it closed. And I looked back down there, and there was a little boy on a bike, and I did not know who that was until I got older. I learned that a legua can sometime appear as a little boy on a bike. But when this little boy on this bike pulled up, I'm telling you, that thing, whatever it was, it literally vaporized. And the little boy looked at me and laughed and said, you good now? And I looked at my dad, and I was like, what just happened? And right there, standing there, my dad told me, you're gonna have animals who protect you when you're, because I told him after we did that prayer that night, I saw, because we prayed this same night. So after we did that prayer that night, after I put my cup and everything in the kitchen, I'm getting ready for bed, but I'm sleeping in their room because I didn't want to sleep in my room. So I still had this bruise, from this thing trying to grab me. And he was like, you're gonna see these different animals and all kind of things, but they're gonna be here to protect you. So as we prayed and I opened my eyes, I saw a whole bunch of red lights, and I was like, ooh, Dad, look at all the red little lights. Can you see them? Can you see them? And he was like, no, baby, I can't see them. And I was like, they're right here. They're literally running past your face. How can you not see them? Oh my God. And I was like reaching out to him. And I stood up in the bed, and the lights were just moving all around me. And he was like, baby, those are angels. And they're here to protect you. Literally at that moment, I cried. I'm trying not to cry right now. Because how? You know what I'm saying? I'm a kid. How? This whole thing is like, what? This doesn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? To me, I'm 5 years old. So when I see this, I'm just like baffled, And I'm like, they're here to protect me? All of them are here to protect me? And he was like, yes, you are a very special child. At this point, I don't know anything about who I am really. I don't know anything about my abilities really. I don't know anything. I'm 5 years old. So when I tell you that from this moment on, everything amplifies, it completely amplifies from this point, because I still saw things the whole time I was in that house, the whole time we lived into that house, that in other houses that we lived in, other places I would go to, I would always see things. So with this house, I saw the night number 3 of sleeping in their room. I had a bad dream, and in the dream, something was trying to attack me. And when I was telling them this dream, they were both, agreeing with each other how these things were trying to now attack me in my sleep, because they feel like this is when I'm at a weakened state. So this is when they began to teach me about controlling my dreams, and to realize that I'm dreaming. Keep in mind, I'm 5 years old. No normal 5-year-old has to go through this. But when you live a life like I have, this is what you had to go through. And keep in mind, I still had to go to school. I still had to deal with daily things and still deal with the spiritual things at the same time. So night 3, I wake up screaming. And there were many of nights I woke up screaming, because it was always something trying to attack me in my sleep. And I was just terrified. But this particular night, I wake up, and it's animals. Every animal you could think of was literally around the room. There were monkeys hanging from the ceiling fans, and I would go and try to tell people these stories, and they'll be like, oh, you crazy, you stupid, you making this up. And that's when my dad told me, I was like, why don't nobody believe me? And he was like, you have to understand, everybody doesn't see with the same pair of eyes as you. You have spiritual sight. So there are going to be things that you can see. There are going to be people that you see. And to anyone else, they'll just look like a regular person, but you're going to be able to see their soul. And it's going to be very dark, and it's going to be very scary. And me and your mom are going to do everything we can to help you on this journey and to teach you, So I'm already in to 27 minutes of story time. Okay, if you want to know what happens in the next, where we go from here, what happens next, definitely tune in to the next episode, which will be Lineage Witch Chronicles, episode 4. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Join the membership page so you can hear more stories like this. All of these stories will not be featured on my regular channel. It will only be in the membership slot. However, I want to give each and every person a chance to at least hear some things. So yes, this is my story time about the first time I met Laveau. All right, bye guys.